Hey guys, hope everybody's doing good. I wanted to come out with some small videos while we wait for our next big video, but I thought this would be kind of interesting because for some reason, this isn't something that is usually thought about or even questioned, and it really blew my mind because I've never really even considered it until recently. Don't get me wrong, I've always considered that sports are rigged to a certain degree. We all know boxing, wrestling, and yes, these are sports entertainment and they can be indeed very fake. I think we can all agree there. The issue begins when you start bringing up basketball, soccer, or football. That's when the cognitive dissonance kicks in, kind of when someone learns about a brand new cosmology. They laugh at the concept with mockery, say the entire idea is ridiculous, and then they just go back to watching the game with the beer on the weekend with friends. It's a tradition, a ritual, and many of these sports fans have no intention on changing that. Which is fine. I just think that these sorts of things should be able to be questioned, and I find it very weird that this thought never even really crossed my mind until recently, which is there some type of tech being used in sports entertainment to increase or decrease the chances of the ball going into the hoop? Essentially, are these billionaire companies using smart tech to control when a shot is made or when it's missed?
Baron Davis can make a shot from anywhere on the court. Is it magic or is it magnets? Tiny magnets placed on the ball, ensuring a strong attraction to the metal rim. Watch. And when Baron needs more magnets, Baron gets more magnets. Don't believe me? Watch the NBA playoffs and you'll see there's really no other explanation.
I think most of you are aware that most of the media is set up to play out a specific way. But for some reason, possibly because of culture, we seem to let it go when it comes to sports.
What is going on there? That's a ring of my profession. You don't know nothing about that. Okay, can we get a close-up on that area?
What? You don't know nothing about what is the profession?
Yeah, which profession are we talking about?
Just look at it.
Is it a legal profession?
Of course it's legal. It's a ring of my profession.
Probably because it truly does rely on skill. I'm not saying that these shots can't be made. I mean, I've played sports myself. I'm a pretty tall guy, and I've made some crazy shots by luck. I actually remember at the fair, they had those hoops that have a little bit of a curved rim, so it's almost impossible to make, but I was young and didn't really know, so I would just do stuff like that. I would come up and shoot and make the shot on the first try, and the dude was just like completely blown away, like, oh, how did you do that? I've just been really lucky when it comes to sports, so trust me, I totally understand all that. I've even kicked a basketball into the hoop from half court. It was just pure luck. But two things can be true at the same time, because we can never forget what we're actually dealing with. This is business, industry, and billions of dollars on the line. It's a church. So I kind of stumbled upon this through watching Dude Perfect videos. Now I've been watching these guys for a long time now, and I'm not saying all their shots are fake, especially when it first got started. And I agree, I understand the whole, if you try 100 or 1,000 times, you'll make one of them, right? Just through luck. But over time, they became a bigger YouTube channel. The shots got more and more ridiculous until the point of people starting to question whether or not it was completely fake. This also gets super weird because they made a video recently trying to show how they do their trick shots. And it's kind of like a joke video, but still, people don't know, and they're kind of giving this illusion that by using green screen techniques to edit out the people, that this is what they're doing to make the shot. Which is just so ridiculous that people just laugh and say, ha, no, they actually really do make these shots for real, increasing trust in their brand. Well, that's at least how the video is presented. But there are shots where they seem to be using rigged setups. I mean, why wouldn't they do this? People will think this is ridiculous to suggest, but I mean, these guys are promoted by the mainstream media. This is what they want you to think, that they can just make all these insane shots, which, again, I do think some of them are real. Now, I'm not really going to argue about this as I've seen the discussions on this, and it seems that many people do believe that Dude Perfect is real because they've had some bloopers or something in one of their old videos. And the argument in return seems to be that they could have just edited those videos as well. People have brought up the question on whether this is some type of visual effect being used, Or is this some type of rigged setup that makes the ball fly into the hoop? Just look at the number of sponsors, promotions, celebrities that have worked with them. They make millions of revenue in entertainment, and they have to keep making these shots if their business is to continue. The only logical thing from a production standpoint would be to fake it at some point and simply present it as what it is, entertainment. Which, don't get me wrong, I do think they are talented and have made hundreds of shots, sure. But that doesn't mean that both can't be true. They have 50 million followers on YouTube, and I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but it seems that they sold out a long time ago. They're in the top 50 most subscribed YouTube channels alongside worldwide celebrities. So I was watching this video by these Australian dude perfect YouTubers, which they're starting to get big, and I'm not saying that I think it's artificial, I don't know. I was just reading the comments and I saw what other people were thinking, and if you really look at it, it does seem that there's some trickery at play. Sure, the main argument seems to be this whole Magnus effect and how the rotation of the ball can change its entire direction. But this would actually make it even more unlikely because when he throws the ball, he's not accounting for that at all, right? The first argument is, oh, they just do it over and over, so it's repetition. And then they just keep adjusting their movements until they get it right, so that makes more sense. But if you're now going to make the argument that it's the Magnus effect, then this would require a whole nother level of calculation that really would just make the shot complete luck. Which I agree, is possible, but if you look at the top comments on these videos, they're saying that it's fake. Which I'm not saying I agree, but I was looking through these comments and it just spawned me to start looking into the NBA, because that's literally what they're talking about in the discussion, is that these trick shot channels in professional sports are using, let's say, fakery in order to control the outcome. Now I say it that way because what most people are saying is that they're magnets, and we'll get to that, but I wanted to present it that way because what if it's something else? Like sure, it could be a similar outcome where the ball gets attracted to a specific location. But why does it have to be magnets? Is that because that is the only attraction-based technology that we're aware of? This seems to be where the cognitive dissonance kicks in because people are like, okay, what about jewelry? You're saying they have these on their hands? Ridiculous, you know how many people would be keeping this under wraps, and you know, a lot of these arguments sound very similar to me, and that's why I was comparing the whole FE and the new cosmology, because you have these people who truly trust the mainstream narrative, they come in and laugh at those just asking questions. Literally mock them and call them dumb for even pondering such thoughts. Well, to me, that's a sign, and we must look at the way people react for this stuff as a religious cult. Weekly service at the end of the week with all their families worshiping their idols. We'll get to the reason why this is all happening towards the end, but okay, so you saw that David Blaine video. That was for the 2007 NBA playoffs. And there's this idea that it was just a ridiculous commercial just to promote the NBA, but I don't really know about all of that. It doesn't really make that much sense. First off, David is being completely serious. We all know that David is fully aware of the trickery behind entertainment, being one of the most famous street magicians. Why would he say all of this? And you know how the elite work with promoting what they're doing right in our faces? This is soft disclosure. It was no accident. It was so that you think it's just a commercial. Just a ridiculously small bit so you'll never question anything. They do this all the time in movies. And even with that Hulu commercial where they were saying that they were reptilians that ate your brain or something like that. Like, why even go there? Is that the best you can do for promotion? Well, the other thing is I don't think David is telling the whole truth here, because for these ball players to be walking around holding magnets, I'm not so sure about that. I think they can just catch the ball, but maybe one way it could work is that the ball contains a thin layer of metal or even an electromagnet in the skin of the ball, but in the rim, that's where the powerful electric magnet is that can flip polarities and push or pull the ball with a fall off in its power in order to get it to slowly come into the hoop. And there is evidence for this, but I just wanted to say is that I wouldn't be surprised if there are other methods for attraction not known by mainstream science that is created through certain black projects and underground funding. I mean, remember, these companies have billions of dollars. I mean, David Blaine tells you straight to your face.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
There's actually more than one commercial. In another one, he says that LeBron James uses some type of jump ramp to achieve his dunks. Now, okay, this might just be a joke, but still, I really wouldn't doubt it if we come to think of the level of wokeness and corruption that fill the NBA in the modern day. Which is ironic since most of the players are essentially slaves to their system, so I don't understand why LeBron can be so privileged yet consider himself a victim. But anyways, let's take a look at some of these videos. So in terms of actually breaking down the game shots and slowing them down, I'm not going to do that since it's already been done, but I do want to break down the two biggest videos on this, so you can just go ahead and watch it from there. But before we do that, let me just address the people who are cringing in their seats at this idea so you can just calm down. Yes, I've seen the main points. There's no magnet in the world that could do this. As a sports player, I know that it's possible to make these impossible shots. Or I used to play for the NBA and NFL, and I can guarantee that there are no magnets used. Even, it's impossible because of air currents. Physics. Yeah, I'm not doubting all that. I'm just asking questions. And the way people respond shows how attached they are to an idea. I get it. As I said, I've played sports my whole life, and you may not believe it, but I'm a pretty athletic person, so I completely understand the argument of kicking the soccer ball or just throwing the basketball with just the right shot and making such an amazing shot. I get it, I really do. I understand that it's possible because I've done it many times, but that's not necessarily what we're talking about. What we're talking about is it possible that yes, secretly, there is some type of tech being placed into the balls, rims, and goals of professional sports entertainment to influence the outcome of the game and make money off of bets? That's all. We're not questioning whether this is actually possible to make the shot. Of course it is. But when we're talking about an industry, billions of dollars, gambling, literally, soccer is the world's largest sport. Look at the stadiums. And the same could be said for basketball. These are the modern mega churches. People just don't want to admit that. It seems that Jack Senpai is the biggest channel with the biggest video talking about the fraud of sports entertainment. He has less than 2,000 followers. And I don't know, people are saying that he could be a troll. Maybe he is. But I don't really think so, as I've read most of his comments and I think he's dead serious. I also think he's fair, as there have been actual retired players who have come in and tried to debunk his theory, and he literally pinned the comment. If this was a troll, he wouldn't have done that. To me, he did that to show he was being fair, and I don't really think it convinced him, because if you keep reading, others were discussing how this could be done in other ways. Just because this guy says that he can personally attest that there are no magnets in football does not mean it's not true, and or that there is some other way to influence the outcome of these games. Again, people are very attached to their sports, so they don't even want to spend the time asking these questions, which is very telling. So the biggest video on this Jack guy's channel is the NBA uses magnetic rims proof. But the thing is, YouTube actually makes this video easily searchable, so even if this guy is being serious, the top comments are trolling him and making him look stupid, so if anyone new comes to watch this video, they will just think it's a joke. But I really don't think he's joking at all. Watch that video if you want to see some of the shots slow down, and one of these weird shots where the ball just froze on the middle of the rim. And it didn't even get wedged or anything, it just got stuck there. I mean, shit, I've never seen anything like that, and I mean, I've seen it go into the corner or right on the edge of the hoop, but no, never right in the center like that. And there's this other channel called Lobo, and he has another good video with more explanation. So he starts by covering these NBA professional balls and how they actually reuse the balls and that they have to go through a thorough inspection before each game. They have to go through a review process to adhere to the league standards. So this is interesting because in this video he posts another channel talking about Wilson balls because I guess they're not sure what the NBA game ball brand really is, but people are suspecting Wilson because Wilson has an NBA game ball, and in the description it reads, "The NBA Game Ball 1 is the closest to what is used by the pros every season. However, basketballs used for NBA games may have unique specifications, digital technology, and or stricter quality controls or tolerances." Wait, hold up. Digital technology? So we know they're doing something with the ball, whether that is to track it or to be able to record data on how many shots were made or missed. Okay, so we're dealing with technology. Now this gets even weirder because Wilson is known for putting transmitters in footballs.
Football is an American tradition, sometimes full of camaraderie, team loyalty, and nail-biting referee decisions. But what if the refs could use electromagnetic waves to help pinpoint exactly where the ball landed to make their game calls? We go inside the lab to learn more.
The trouble is, inches matter in football. The exact location of the football can determine whether a player gained enough yardage for a third down conversion. The exact location can also show if the ball crossed the goal line for a touchdown. In short, the spot of the ball can affect who wins the game. Just watch what happens in this Appalachian State football game. Can you tell if the ball crosses the goal line? Now, engineers at NC State may have a way to know for sure.
What we do is we turn the football into a small electromagnet.
The scientists work with Carnegie Mellon University and Disney Research to create a way to track a football in three-dimensional space.
You can do left, right, forward, back, up, down is 3, and then the football can be rotated this way, and the football can be rotated this way. So he could actually track the football in any orientation around.
It's all done using a low-frequency transmitter that is integrated into the football.
This is the rechargeable battery for the device. And then here's the actual transmitter. This is the on-off switch so we can turn it off. These are the 2 wires from the antenna coming up into the transmitter.
And here's the key. The transmitter creates a current in the wire, which turns the ball into a pretty simple electromagnet. This time-lapse video shows how it's all put together. The ball is deflated and unlaced. The bladder is removed, and then a wire is wrapped around the bladder several times. The bladder is put back into the football, and then the antenna and the transmitter are epoxied together to make them more durable. Everything is then packed back into the football, which is laced back up and then reinflated. The weight is within the standard deviation of accepted professional football weights. The ball is carefully balanced.
If you think about a science experiment you might have done in school where you wrapped a coil of wire and then connected the coil of wire to a battery and then looked at what happened to a compass, you're measuring the same sorts of things that you did with the iron filings and the permanent magnet. In one case it's a permanent magnet, the other case it's created by the currents, but the fields are very similar. And effectively what we're doing is we're taking the football and turning it into a magnet, just like the coil of wire that you did in a science experiment in school.
And here's how it works.
By the way, this might be nice.
Watch the player and then watch the arrow on the side of the screen.
You know, everybody likes to do something cool. Everybody likes to see something that's entertaining. So you can see as he's running down here, the ball really is changing directions as he moves it in his arm and runs across the field. So you can see not only his location, but also that orientation. And you see there's a red and a yellow line, and the yellow line's really telling you the orientation. So when the ball's flat, horizontal to the field, the yellow line's straight, and as it tips up, that yellow line gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
There's a series of antennas placed around the field to track the signal produced by the transmitter. The computer uses the data to place the ball.
This is one just showing the accuracy. So we've got one of our researchers walking the line, and this is showing the direction of the ball, so it's pointed to his right. And he's within 1 foot of the goal line, mostly within 6 inches as he walks.
And remember, the football is producing a low-frequency signal. That's important because low-frequency signals pass through the human body. The ball won't get lost in a pileup of players.
We use magnetic waves, which may not mean anything to most people, but typical radio waves get absorbed by our bodies or get shoulder pads, helmets, metal things. The magnetic waves tend to ignore us. We're sort of transparent, if you will, to the magnetic waves. So by using magnetic waves, when all the players huddle around the ball, the waves just propagate through them and we can see them just fine. So the players themselves don't affect the fields we measure whatsoever.
And the electromagnetic signals produced are good for tracking a football and safe for people.
There actually is an analysis that we had done where you actually calculate, you take a human body model, and we calculated the football sitting right here. If you held it, how long you could hold it, and I think you could hold it for a full 4 or 8 hours, and you'd still be below all the acceptable limits.
Researchers admit the system needs fine-tuning, but the NFL and several other sports leagues are reviewing the technology.
And it was just cool to be able to do something that enabled us to interact with the sports team, and that was so easily to understand. You know, a lot of the work we do in research doesn't always take us into something that's exciting and also that you can share.
I mean, if this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. They literally have the tech, where the football has a magnetic grip system and that these gloves make it so much easier to catch with such ease that these have been supposedly banned at high school games. I mean, so this is proof that the technology exists. Now, we're just questioning whether we trust them to use it or not, or whether they're liars. But that's a pretty easy question to answer.
The ultimate reception. Now every kid can catch like a pro. Come take a look.
Ultimate Reception is the most innovative youth sports entertainment product in years. Players using an Ultimate Reception football and gloves are so effective they are not allowed in any high school or NCAA football game. This product is strictly for youth and athletes who want to catch like a pro every time. Ultimate Reception features a patent-pending magnetic grip system that literally makes the ball stick to your hand. And with the smallest, strongest magnets in the world on your side, it usually only takes one hand.
They're showing you this just to make you think that this is some type of product or one-use kind of thing, like, oh, what a neat gadget. It's just that people wouldn't or don't want to make the extra leap of making the final conclusion of what this all means. These gloves are a part of it as well, and I know that sticky gloves do help. So imagine if they were actually giving out these magnetic gloves and footballers weren't even told about this. They are given professional NFL gloves and they just think they're top shit catching everything, but what if they don't know that these magnets are in their glove and the NBA football is actually set up with an electromagnet that can be turned on or off. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not saying it's true, but there are people who are discussing these things. So back to Wilson. Okay, Wilson is the main brand behind all these professional balls. They make all of the professional balls, which I don't know, I find it weird that in that Tom Hanks movie, the weird volleyball with the red looking blood is called Wilson. Just strange, but these guys make all these balls for professional sports such as soccer, baseball, football, basketball, and yes, they have digital balls or Bluetooth balls that have technology within them. It directly connects with your Bluetooth devices. Wait, so you guys don't think they may have something like a magnetic ball? And if they did have that technology, do you think these sports entertainment executives could really resist using it to boost viewership? Okay, maybe not magnets, even though I do think they may be using that. If they weren't, you would think at some point, some higher-ups were like, hey, is there any way we can integrate some type of technology that would make it easier or harder to make shots? Seems like a fair question. Why not? It's just a thought. And I guarantee someone has thought that, as we already see the proof with the products out on the market now for catching footballs easier with magnets, and also Bluetooth basketballs that completely monitor everything you do. Well, I think they hide the truth in plain sight. Not only that, but there's a video of a former Atlanta Hawks player who was watching one of the games on his live, and a fan noticed him talking about how the rims had magnets. Listen.
Say he the fourth member of the Migos, man. Look, they got a magnet on the rim. That one ain't supposed to go in.
The thing is, we're never presented with a theory that drastically puts to question everything you know and love, including your perception of reality and or what you truly enjoy watching, in this case, sports entertainment. That's fine, and I'm not saying all sports are fake. But when it comes to global corporations making billions of dollars on corruption, this is what we're really talking about when it comes to the world of sports entertainment and gambling. If it were known by the masses that these events were rigged, the entire thing would come crumbling down. No one would watch it again, just like with Jake Paul. Sure, people are falling asleep every day, but people are waking up to the fact that this is simply entertainment. These are contracts, and the outcome is already predetermined, because this isn't about honor or who is the better player or chance. It's about business. And how can we keep the populace distracted from world issues while they sit at home drinking beer and watching the game? This is their religion. These sports fans are nationalists who support the flag of their chosen team, willing to support them through death. Tattoo their logos on their bodies. This is what happens. People merge their entire identity with sports. Dude, I know this for a fact. My dad was from New Orleans and he was a huge Saints fan. Every weekend, he would watch the game, and so I would want to watch it too. It became ingrained in my mind as I became a sports player, made other friends who loved sports, and this was just the culture. To watch the game every weekend, and to be a loyal fan to your team. But is that really all it is? Once I became an artist, it became so obvious what sports entertainment is. It's a numbing of the mind. It's a way to divide and conquer. People fighting for different teams that are owned by the same exact people. Why do people get so much joy out of watching other people play sports? I never really understood that myself, as I always just wanted to go out and play. Why would I want to sit for 3 hours watching people I don't even really know? Especially in these huge, nasty stadiums with beer and piss everywhere, and it's crowded. It's honestly kind of disgusting. People go to these events to eat, drink, and shit while watching the game. I mean, even celebrities spend their weekends doing this. Just seems to be the same cycle of entertainment to keep the majority of us asleep. There needs to be something to distract the public, and this has been going on for ages. It's nothing new. This is a church service that happens every week. The teams are different cults. It is estimated that over 1 billion people worldwide watch the World Cup football tournament in South Africa. It's said to be the biggest sporting event in the world. I mean, we're talking about multinational corporations and sponsorships of the highest degree. Now the next question becomes, why? Why would they do this? How come there are so many people who do not know that this is going on? And the reason is, this is just a system. This is the fundamental keystone to the entire New World system. It's a symbol. As we know from the last video, symbols are how the elites speak to each other. These sporting events are symbolic for competition, but more so to consistently program us with social Darwinist principles such as the fight for survival or there having to be a better team, when really, these are all money puppets created by corporations. They just shuffle team members all the time. It has nothing to do with nationality and everything to do with money and control. Now, I'm not saying we need to throw everything away and that there isn't positivity that can come from competition. Of course, you can grow, you can learn, but we aren't talking about competition in an honest and true form. No, we're talking about competition in the form of global entertainment. This is not some true ambition to prove who is best. It's a business. And you gotta admit that many of the fans are of a lower awareness, chugging beers and seeing the other teams from other countries as enemies simply because they like another team. Sure, in some cases it's serious, and in others, you can have strong bonds with those who oppose your team. But again, generally, it's actually very toxic and not what our society needs right now. If anything, we should take a break from cult worship and all just work on ourselves for a bit. We know that the Freemasons designed baseball. These were all set up in the founding of our societies. And if you're new to the channel, there is so much more to this than just sports. They are keeping so much of our history from us, including how our cities were truly constructed, or as they tell us, founded. This gets into the entire nature of our reality, but they don't really want us to ponder upon that. They would rather us talk about the game last night and how they made that crazy shot at the last second. Anyways, I'm not really trying to prove anything with this video. I could be wrong, but I thought it was an interesting thought stream. I honestly never really thought about hidden tech being used until recently. And I don't know, it just seems weird, because like I was saying, I know these shots can be made, I do it all the time, but still, I never really thought about if this tech existed and it was being used in sports. Because if it did exist, are we to assume that these wealthy elite are trustworthy enough to not use it? I mean, I know the idea of platforms on the court make no sense, and that there are indeed people who can dunk these heights. I remember in high school there was this guy that was like 5'4", dunking on professional goals, and it just blew my mind. So I know it's possible, but still, why do you think they got David Blaine on here to promote the playoffs? Is it because that these basketball courts are a set? It's all a rig and they're telling you to your face? This isn't just with basketball, it's in all professional sports, even gaming. You don't think auto aimers are being used? Many of these aren't immediate snaps either. They are small little assisters that slowly fade in and then snap to the target. Same thing with basketball. It would slowly attract the ball as to not cause suspicion, or possibly we're dealing with a tech that we do not understand. I mean, you remember the movie Like Mike? I mean, I don't know. Are we to think that there aren't shoes that exist like that? You may think that's crazy, but I don't know. Many of these elite are into the occult, so I try to keep an open mind to everything. Which is weird, because for some people, they think a video like this would ruin our work. How could you possibly put out a video like this questioning whether they do stuff like this? I mean, I think it's very relevant, as I brought up how people worship sports, the fact that it's $1 billion corporation, and that it keeps the symbol of fighting to survive alive. But forgetting all that, I even showed you that there are devices being made right now that include magnetic sports balls that make them easier to catch or throw into a hoop, and or Bluetooth balls that monitor all the activities throughout its entire history. These devices do exist. They can be made with current technology easily. Now, if we're to consider that, and black projects, secret tech kept from the public, all we're asking, if this tech does truly exist, would these corporations use it? Why wouldn't they? Even if that is too far, the least you can do is attempt to think about how most of these games are rigged in other ways. Not just through technology and editing, but just through telling the players exactly what to do like puppets. But hey, if you bring this up, you'll just get called crazy. But what do you think? Do you trust sports media entertainment? Do you think it's something that is healthy for mankind in its current state and form? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and all we can hope is that our minds may be unveiled.
Let go of everything you think to be true. Relax the mind and ask the question, do I truly understand what this reality is?